In many of my videos, I mention the perennial wisdom. I thought we might have a look at the definition of what that phrase means and then explore further what it means to actually live in that world and how it affects one's behaviors and one's connection to the world around oneself. The perennial wisdom, also known as perennial philosophy, is a perspective that suggests that there is a core set of spiritual or philosophical truths that are universal and timeless. These truths are believed to be present in the teachings of various religions, philosophies, and cultures throughout history. In simple terms, it's the idea that beneath the surface differences of various belief systems, there are fundamental principles and insights about the nature of reality, the purpose of life, and human existence that remain constant and relevant across time and cultures. Perennial wisdom encourages seekers to explore and find commonalities among different traditions to gain deeper understandings of these timeless truths. Abraham Maslow had a lot to say about self-actualization in his hierarchy of needs, but I'm mentioning him here because he then goes on to talk about transcenders, and I would argue that transcenders are those people who are in alignment with the perennial wisdom. So Maslow articulated such concepts as self-actualization, development of one's capacities for humanistic psychology, then exceeded it with his transpersonal psychology, the idea of self-transcendence, which is full spiritual awakening or liberation from the egocentric self, along with the notion of peak experiences and plateau living. So transcenders in Maslow's idea of the individual self that's been liberated from the constraints of the story of themselves in terms of becoming self-realized. He says this of transcenders: I suspect transcenders find it easier to transcend the ego, the self, the identity, to go beyond self-actualization. Perhaps we could say that the description of the healthy ones is more exhausted by describing them primarily as strong identities, people who know who they are, where they're going, what they want, what they're good for, in a word, as strong selves. And this, of course, does not sufficiently describe the transcenders. They are certainly this, but they are also more than this. Going much further, transpersonal psychology is interested to explore extreme wellness or optimal well-being. It is interested in those cases of persons who have often or perhaps permanently expanded their normal sense of identity to include the supra or transpersonal, the self of all selves, the one underlying the many. Transpersonal psychology explicitly acknowledges and makes use of the profound spiritual psychologies of the great traditions, such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, mystic Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim Sufism, as well as new insights and methods in the human potential and consciousness expanding movements. Now, this was written probably in the 1950s, but it's as relevant today because, of course, the perennial wisdom goes back millennia. And this idea of optimal living, people who know themselves, is an indication, I would suggest, that they recognize the true identity as the formless underlying absolute, and in letting go, releasing their grip on the idea of the egoic constructed identity, they fall into that natural rhythm. and they transcend the limitations of the personal realm. And so, from the outside looking in, from another perspective, it appears as though they have strong identities, they know who they are, they know where they're going, they know what they want, what they're good for, in a sense, strong selves. The actual factual lived reality within that person is not that they are full of confidence because they have built up an idea of self that fulfills their expectations. It's the opposite of that. They have let go of the notion that they are individual selves that can make decisions and live optimally, because that doesn't really last very long. If you take that journey, life has a way of washing out the wrinkles in that philosophy. No, it is the actual letting go of that sense of self. And then you fall in alignment with and are in harmony with the way, or the Tao. The perennial wisdom is given life and illumination within the Tao Te Ching, within the words of Lao Tzu and other great sages and mystics of the past. And they point to the truth of one's being, this perennial wisdom that all is one, unity, consciousness. It goes by many names: pure conscious awareness, effortless being, presence. And then the individual that falls back into their natural default position, that effortless way of being, manifests clarity of mind and direction, purpose and meaning in their lives, which give rise to this optimal living experience. But it isn't something that they have cultivated. It's more something that they have let go of. When I realized that I was in the way and recognized I could step down from that captain of the ship, and that the ship would sail perfectly well without me at the wheel. In fact, I was getting in the way of that flow. Then life opened up, and one's potential then unfolds naturally and effortlessly, and in harmony with the deeper truths, the truth of one's being, which is this perfectly fulfilled, impersonal, effortless awareness.